UndergroundHipHop.com, Super Rockin' DJ on and on, live in the Good Life Bar Kitchen, ladies and gentlemen. You understand, we throw the L word around a lot in hip-hop, of course, legendary status. But when you think of Third Base, De La Soul, Stetsasonic, Handsome Boy Modeling School, Gravediggaz, the list goes on and on, man. We're talking about, of course, Prince Paul in the house, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for being on UndergroundHipHop.com, man.
I appreciate it very much. I wanted to give the official handshake and make it legit.
We're here. Now, first off the bat, as a 30-year-old gentleman, I officially want to thank you for indoctrinating me into hip-hop. Of course, what screams at me first, when I look back at it, I say, Prince Paul, you taught me that I could have fun with hip-hop in the first place with the 3 feet high and rising skits. Nobody was doing that shit. Explain your involvement in the evolution of the skits in that particular album.
Well, as a 20-year-old gentleman, my response to you is, I don't know. They say I'm the inventor of the hip-hop skit, which, you know, I guess I'll unfortunately take that title, but my whole thing was more or less finding a way to link an album together, and that was 3 Feet High and Rising. It was a bizarre album to me. I wanted to find a way to kind of shed a little bit of light to it, kind of make it so people knew who the MCs were and all the other stuff, and who would have thought it would have, from there, would have made other people do skits, which, in a way, I wish they never did.
But of course... But of course, Don Newkirk, who you've had a long-going relationship with, really, because y'all motherfuckers are watching this shit literally skit for skit, line for line, punchline for punchline. It was so important, the game show thing. How did that really, where did that idea come from?
All I remember is us sitting in the studio. We was like sequencing, like putting all the tracks together for the album. Right. And then I was trying to figure out, I was like, wow, you know, how can we make this so, one, it'll all tie in together, and then two, so people would know who the group is? Because back then, you used to listen to like a lot of records. You didn't know one MC from the other, what the difference was, unless it was a big, huge rhyme style difference. But those guys, in a way, they had similar rhyme styles. So I wanted to show the people who they were. So a game show kind of gave you the opportunity, at least the old ones, you would say what your name is, what do you like, and then it goes to the next person. So to me, that was the best way of putting it together. And, you know, I didn't know it would turn out like it did.
Right. Now, you mentioned Stetsasonic, and I remember once again, you know, specifically when Your TV Raps was popping off, Stetsasonic was real heavy with the Sally joint and, you know, everything that was going on. Was that your favorite time in hip hop? Were you really having fun then, man? When it wasn't all accessible and there wasn't a million hip-hop groups and it really meant something to be on Your TV Raps. Was that your favorite time in hip-hop?
Man, you know, honestly, it's like, it was a time in hip-hop I didn't know what was going on. It's just like, you gotta say, it was so new. We didn't know what the future of it was. You know, I was like straight out of high school. You know, I think probably starting college at some point in the latter part of Stetsasonic. But, like...
Where did you go to high school?
Amityville High School with De La and
in Long Island. Okay.
Yeah. But it was a long time ago, and like we didn't know what was going on. You know, we just was having fun. I don't know if it's necessarily the most fun, but it was like wow, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh, I'm here. Yeah. Like, as a matter of fact, my first flight I ever took, like ever in an airplane, was here to Boston. So it's like, you know, it was just like, wow, I'm on an airplane.
Why did you take a flight here?
We did a show here somewhere, and believe it or not, New Kids on the Block opened up for us, I think what it was. And that was a long, long time ago.
And did you think New Kids on the Block were black kids when you heard the records? Like everyone else?
Not at all, because it was before the record came out. Okay. So I was like, who's this? You know what I'm saying?
Please don't go, girl.
Next thing you know, they blew up. I was like, wow, that's who that is.
Well, real quickly, I remember what struck out at me. You mentioned you went to Amityville High School. Like, that was a real... When I first saw De La, and this is what I know from Amityville.
Right.
It's a real weird black kids from the suburbs. If you can paint the picture, what was going on specifically in Amityville and Long Island I mean, that was a real renaissance that y'all really took the game over. Like, it wasn't really convenient to be those kids.
Right.
What was that scene like, specifically?
You know, it wasn't the whole school was like that. We were just like, I guess, unique in that fashion. It's just like, you know.
You were weirdos, I mean, for that time.
Well, I mean, you know, maybe they were. But back then, you gotta understand, I was strictly Lees and mock necks and British Walkers and Adidas, and so, you know, they were a little more off keel than I was. But, you know, for all of us who love music, we kind of more or less found each other. Like, I knew of them in high school, but I know them really hook up with them until after high school.
Right.
So, you know, I didn't know they rhymed. I was like, y'all rhyme? But Amityville was just like any other school. You had your thugs, you had the smart guys, the jocks, the pretty girls, the whores.
Right,
you know what I'm saying? It was just like any high school, USA.
Right.
And, you know, that was the beginning of the crack era. So you had those too.